So I can follow along.
We should also get an espresso machine in here.
Yeah.
I requested that.
Hey, it's your tax dollars at work, we can do whatever you want.
Oh, we have to ask that.
I don't think up to date.
Not additional tax.
Oh,
but-
okay.
I'm sorry,
Clarify.
I don't think up to date computer equipment. Conveniences for the people that don't use paper, because that is what should have happened about 20 years ago here. And we went into a paperless office in 2005 where I worked. And
Well, aren't you special?
well, because we were in the 19th, we were not in the.
We're
19th
almost to the
grade.
19th century, okay?
We espresso machines a little much, but.
Mike, glad you can make it. I hope you're healing well.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been a rough heal this
Mike will
last
be
week.
leading us.
Okay,
From
let me,
the round.
before we start, let me just throw this out. At the Board of Selectmen meeting, when the police judge is not present, even if that position is on Zoom, we appoint someone in the room to actually run the meeting. I'm not trying to
I'm
count you out, Mike, but it just, you know, I don't know if it's a real rule, but
No, that's definitely appropriate. Someone that's there actually a little more tactile with the environment. So, Kevin, would you like to do that?
Kevin used to run us for years.
I suppose so. I will do it for the good of the town
I appreciate that.
and you.
Thank you. Wait a minute, my phone let me be online, my other secret's isn't online.
You're going to be online. He's recovering from ACL surgery. He can't come up the stick.
Yeah.
because we are not in
Okay.
ADA building.
There we go. Okay. And we're not.
Been
I
there.
don't think we're timed yet.
I have either one.
Do you? Okay, well, that's working on.
Okay, folks. Let's call this meeting to order of the Georgetown Business Promotion Commission. It is June 4th, 2025. 8:01 a.m. We're meeting at Town Hall, which is located at 404 6th Street. Could I have a roll call, please, Bridget?
Craig Abramson, Mike Huggins,
Here.
Paul Vogt,
Here.
Gary Haynes,
Here.
Kevin, Huvet,
Here.
Jessica Trevette, Mary Smith,
Here,
Justin Dow.
May I have an agenda approval?
is there anything we're adding? No, I move to approve the agenda.
Do we have a second?
What about 4th of July?
I'll second. Okay, any discussion? Vote. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, audience business, members of the audience will have 5 minutes to present any matter of interest related to the business of the town that is not already on the agenda. Those attending virtually may use the chat feature. No official action may be taken at this time.
There's no attendees.
Okay, great. That was my question next. Thank you, Bridget. Welcome business owners and operators. Do we have any business owner or operators in the audience today? It appears so.
We do have a new business opening up next door.
Tell me everything.
I have no
It is
idea.
an extension of Is What It Is. They are opening up a snow room. They're hoping to get it done this weekend, but they are running around and it may be next weekend, but it is an already standing business using their license just next door.
Is Anomaly open? Yeah.
Keith is still working on getting his business license.
You probably like talking about amplified music, because I was walking down 6th Street and I was trying to go into the hotel. And there was loud music that was incongruous with what they were doing, and it was really annoying.
That has been brought up a few times by a couple of their residents.
Maybe the town needs to be involved, because I know there's a selectman here.
I can bring it up to staff and see what we can do about it.
Thanks. In a friendly way, welcoming to a larger space, but understanding that they
Yeah.
have good neighbors.
Okay, minutes approval for May 7th, 2025.
I submitted some corrections to Bridget. Just minor,
I'm just going to
minor, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Nothing that changes the tone or the content.
Intent is still there.
Okay, got it. Okay. All right. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
I'll second.
Okay, thanks, Gary. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. New and unfinished business, marketing and events report, Jess Jones.
Oh my gosh,
That's you.
it may be me, we don't know after this past months of
Yeah,
events, a
tell us
lot
everything.
has happened. This past month, we've not only started our summer season, we've had a couple economic development talks at the county level and some transitions around. So just diving into my report, giving some updates on our events. We did have the Epic Day of Service. That is our town cleanup day. We had 6 roll-off dumpsters in our lot. We did have a chipper pile for the fire department to come in the next day as they were training, day of. After a total count, we had close to 60, it was 57. 57 volunteers came out to clean up around town. These are the people that didn't just come to dump things. This was our team came out to clean up the lake. We had other individuals like the dark sky coordinator, Irving, came up to clean up. Rich Barrows had the waiter team cleaning up the creek. It was really awesome. Interesting, we did not have high participation for our epic party after, but the invoice has been passed along. I think that is something we can definitely plan heavier with our parks team and get a better sponsorship opportunity, but it was very welcomed. A lot of other towns, specifically like Breckenridge, when they do their town cleanup day, they do host a barbecue after.
Where was our party located?
Cabin Creek. That way they can
Huh.
provide the food
Sure.
and, wine during
Sure, parking,
all of the things that I don't have to do after a day
Yeah.
of cleaning.
okay, sorry.
Moving into that, we did have our Memorial Weekend kickoff. Thank you to Amy from Feastly for catering our pancake breakfast. From there, we had our borough races and mountain jams on Saturday. We should touch on the topic of how tourism numbers are down. I met with Colton, the county deputy county manager. As you guys know, he provides some of the data. Last year over the weekend, we saw about 27,000 people. This year we saw 16, almost 17,000 people. So and when you are hearing from the business shops that they didn't see that many people, they are correct in that thinking. Most of this, from what we can tell, was the weather related. We had some rain clouds, mostly on Sunday. We had beautiful weather Saturday, but when the reports and the weather in Denver are bad, they think it's worse out here. One exciting thing to touch on, there was a influencer there over the weekend, Amanda Bittner. She's been out here for a couple of things before, about 150K following. She partners with UC Health for mental health, try new things, shake things up. So she did a piece on the borough races and that was phenomenal. We love to see that. Going into Sunday, again, it was raining. We had our small business Sunday. I was out for roughly 2 hours talking, promoting, but this is something that we've talked about trying to plan a little bit better. We did try to get the SIPs and the pairings for stores and retail, and we just could not get that off the ground. Mostly we have limited staffing, limited restaurants, and some places didn't want to mesh the two with their limited space in their store. Moving into Sunday, we did have a large battle flag that was hung up in the park. Thank you Mojo Lucas for being our honored speaker. Thank you Rob Solomon for donating his equipment, his time, and all of his emceeing abilities. And of course, Georgia, our new police judge, did a fantastic job. Not just Memorial Day, but also on the pancake breakfast. I thought her speech that morning was really empowering and historically fun. Other things that happened around the area, we did have Mother's Saloon had 2 concerts. We did get very minor noise complaints. Reviewing that, town did abide by our amplified sound permit. However, we are reviewing a couple other things as we go forward, whether that's in my realm on how we get better approval processes or in other amplified sound liquor license. Bridget is working on that with us as well.
Yeah, as we move forward, our biggest learning lesson is the law asks that we notify people within 100 feet of the sound source. And we're going to defer to the event owners and say, how far do you wanna go? We suggest this far, for example, soccer, we're gonna say about 500 feet from City Park. And then provide them the addresses for the next.
Hearing their feedback on Friday night's concert, they did tone it down a little bit on Saturday as well. Looking at their numbers, they had close to 700 people that Saturday night or that Friday night and almost 500 people the next night Saturday. When I was speaking with them, that's not really heard of, but I'm working with Colton to see what their before, after, and year to year looks like, just to gauge on how much of a success that event was. If you guys receive any feedback on that, please always send it my way. Okay, rolling along into our report. We did have Travel Westward come over this past weekend. They were here Friday into Saturday. Her and her husband stayed over at the Clear Creek Inn. I ran into her probably everywhere, because it is such a small town. But it was really great to see everyone kind of coming together. She did wear a Westward hat. She either blended in at Mother's Saloon or she stood out over at Cooper's, then she went over to Cabin, she rode the train. These are the pieces that we're trying to ignite those, overnight stays and the Denver trips up here. It's really to showcase what we have to spend money. People know about our trails. Westward's audience is a lot greater, and with our younger demographic, at least 3 of them that we're trying to hit. So, once I get it put together, edited, and launched, we'll get some more data to prove if this was really worth it or not. And then the other big thing that we had this month was the Outside Festival. Idaho Springs, Georgetown, and Clear Creek County partnered together on this and had a booth down there in the Camp Colorado section. We were next to the Dillon, town of Dillon. We had Estes Park, Colorado Springs. We were among big heavy players, and it was pretty positive. In my regard, there is a report I printed and was able to pass out to you guys this morning. So some of the highlights consisted of the positive feedback, not just about our outdoor offerings, but many of them knew Cabin Creek, many of them knew Cooper's, Mountain Mamas. We do have other places to share with, so they knew the Virginia Canyon Project, and it was great to share our little tidbits. We have so much growth going on here in Georgetown. We had roughly, I want to say over 80 people entered our giveaway. The first day there was over 17,000 people. We're still waiting on the second day. Of course, it's not possible to talk to all of them, but knowing we had at least 300 that we counted at our booth and then 80 that entered into our giveaway, we can break down our ROI a little bit more once we get the clicks data, since we have 2 different QR codes. One to the visitor guide for Clear Creek County, and the other one to, of course, our Google form. If there's any feedback on how I can measure this a little bit better, I would be interested in that, because, you know, I think these conversations we had with people were super great, meaningful. Sadie and I were talking about that before this board. We did split $5,000 3 ways. We have collected the funds from each partner on that, and I am waiting for their feedback, but anything from you guys would be super helpful.
Maybe it's in your report, or maybe you said it and I didn't touch it.
No
It
worries.
was so fast. How did you collect?
A clicker.
Data,
Train them all to be very quick, so if one of us had to run to the restroom or something, I knew it was more important than seeing how many people were there and how many people checked our link or entered our giveaway. It was important for us to track how many people we had those touch interactions with,
right,
because
but
a lot of them didn't.
when, but the
Yeah.
actual information from. If they entered something, how is that going to be?
It's entered on a spreadsheet.
And you have that, I mean, I don't need to see that information in front of me, but you have that information now, and how is that being compiled, and when, you know, like, what are some raw numbers from that?
We had, I believe it was 83 entries into our photo giveaway, and what they had to do is not only talk to us, they had to take a picture with our booth. Or our photo booth that we created. It had a bunch of interaction or tourism highlights on it. And it included world-class ice driving, our beautiful trails. We have the beard staff 14ers, things like that. From the entry, you had to put in your picture, and most of them did have them, except for 1 or 2 that had to be entered because something happened. We had a glitch in Wi-Fi.
Thanks.
Mike, were you going to say something?
Nope, just taking notes.
Okay, great.
No worries.
Are we, is Slacker us or is it CC Marty?
That will be CC Murdy.
Okay, I need to get that something.
Yes.
Including mountain jams, which are considered, you know,
Yo, totally. Yes.
okay, thank you.
Moving forward a little bit. The business resiliency met, this is the Clear Creek Gilpin Economic Development. I provided a small touch base, mostly this was people going over some. Surveys that compiled feedback on what we could do for our future. This was a bunch of heavy players, thankfully Amanda Cooper, Georgia was there. I've been updating Dennis as needed. And then there's an online version of the packet, so if you need to, I can send you the follow-up with our notes. It's the next meeting that's gonna be the most important. The first two have been planning, odd years, now even years. The next is planning, and then after that, the fourth and final meeting will be action. So if anyone is interested or hasn't already attended, but Mr. Boat here has been doing his homework and shows up every time. You were the only one. We do get homework and you do have to bring it, otherwise you sit there going, ah. So, it's a great collaboration effort.
You did yours, you just didn't like. Cause we talked about your homework, I know.
Moving into other topics in here, so the town newsletter, if there's anything that we're needing to add, reach out to other organizations. We're still trying to filter what's appropriate, how to advertise for it, and then make sure people are actually receiving it, cause that's been a minor hiccup on that end. Running into some of our summer planning, so Slacker will be happening June 28th, they got our paperwork in last week and we have sent it out to the proper authorities and are reviewing it internally. They are going through some transitions at this moment, but we have connected with Cameron and Beth on how to proceed forward. Traditionally, when we get the paperwork, we take a few days to review it, connect with fire, sheriff, and now EMS. I have to make sure Aaron is updated because that is something I've been lacking on, and that was an oversight in my end. But other than that, if there's any feedback or questions, I do have a plan in your small little update packet for some of the weighted signs. I drafted some event announcement, reserved dock or reserved park. They're very gray, just because of dark background is easier to look at. But I'm wondering if this could help us post it in areas like City Park, hey, Mothers will be having an event on this date. Or we have many park reservations is more of where my line of thought was going with this as well. With these weighted signs, we have a lot of opportunity for summer. There's another one on here describing the Georgetown Lake. And then offering the Georgetown Paddle Co. at the bottom. When they were the best of 2024 new business, the 2025 should be coming out soon. But this is a way that we can also offer more showcase from the lake to downtown. We can use this downtown to explore more, find restrooms, and overall announcements for summer events. Knowing the bigger one that we do plan is the 4th of July. And the 1 month from today, we did get our paperwork and sent that out to a couple of people. We are waiting for the community center to help align on what they need for their amplified sound for the barbecue and porta potties and trash. Typically, the town will take on that expense to ensure. Right now, we are collecting people for our parade. It sounds like we might have 3 sets of horses this year, and we want to avoid last year with the skateboard spooking a horse and almost hitting a child. If we could find more volunteers, that would be amazing. If you guys are available that day or know of people who are always willing to help, we can always take that. Knowing that we have the hot dog eating contest to take on, we're looking for live music. We've got community center bingo. We can look to do root beer floats again, and then at the end of it, just for a lighter evening, we have s'mores and Astro toys. This is a $9,000 budget that we don't even spend half of it, so we are looking at ways to improve. Paul, did you wanna provide anything else on that one? You were asking about it?
No, I just wanted to make sure that, because, like doing music and.
Yeah.
Different plans, I don't know if I'll be,
Jay?
I don't know if I'll be in town or not, but.
No worries, no worries. And I believe, oh, that is it for me right now.
Okay, great. Any questions for Jess? I will take on food trucks. I haven't seen Dennis in a couple of weeks, so I haven't talked to him. I think it's the two of us that are sort of driving this along. But I will tell you that I met with Colton Roloff of Clear Creek County and walked our parking lots over next to Hotel Paris Museum. And we had a discussion about highest and best use of the parking lots. And he really felt that it would be a good place to park food trucks. And so, although that would be at the expense of public parking, I think it could be a shared use. I think if we just cordon off an area towards the back of the parking lot, which would be to the south. And I brought that up to my chairman of the museum committee, and she liked the idea. And so just be aware that it doesn't just have to happen on the streets of Georgetown, and that can be somewhat problematic because of um, current sign postings and uses and uh, business feedback, but the museum lot is available and should be considered. So that's about all I've got.
The other update that I have to follow up is the Georgetown Summer 2025 Food Truck Strategy. It's in your packet. Talking about phase one, our outreach, how do we get to the people? Phase two is our campaign push. And then phase three at the end of the summer, of course, retention and review. There is a spot in here to hold for the data we are asking from Colton to say, these are our peak days. This is how many people are here and this is why you wanna be here. We can make something that looks pretty and flashy, but at the end of the day, question is, well, how many people are there? It helps them plan for how much food to make, how much money they might make, and if it's worth the drive for them. I'm overhearing that we're so far away, people make it to Dillon, people make it to Evergreen. This is our opportunity to say, we're worth it, come be a part of our growth.
Yeah, it's good. Okay, sounds like things are getting put in place. Goals and objectives, who's that?
I think that is just our repeating agenda item just to check in on things.
So, Mike, one of those goals and objectives is the proposed aerial overhead sign. Do you have anything to say about that?
I do, or would that fall under the gateway conversion?
Okay.
But we could discuss it now as a goal.
Yeah,
It is-
we did set it as a goal, so I think
Okay,
we're fine to
let's
talk
do that.
about it.
So I've been working with the out-of-state, designer, and this is just kind of a next step. I'm gonna try to share the screen. Let's see how we do that. Share screen and start broadcast, I guess. Okay, and so let's see what happens here when this comes up. Is that shared?
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, that
There you
looks
go.
great.
Sweet. So, so this is just superimposed, obviously. It's right now the graphic is covering our monument sign that we have there, but I think we would probably redevelop this whole spot to accommodate both and whatnot. And went forward with the steel construction. The designer, he was really adamant about trying to pull in like true historic elements, especially from our town. When I brought him his attention to the Devil's Thumb Bridge, or not Devil's Thumb, but Devil's Gate Bridge, there was nothing really there to pull, other because there was a lot of like smaller type of steel used at that time for that. And here we wanted this to look more massive. So obviously this is like a reference to our mining, a little bit of the railroad-esque feel, the natural stone bases. And I know like that's just an arbitrary like put stone right now. We could pick something that's very localized, even a stone that probably is local and has a story behind it. And yeah, that's where we are right now. Now I think this designer is planning on giving us kind of like an actual detail construction of this, I think. Whether he does or not, we'll move this along if it's approved, with DRC and the Board of Selectmen, to someone who actually will engineer it and actually give us plans of how to properly construct this, what type of steel materials, et cetera, et cetera. The logo, the Georgetown, is right from our most modern logo. Right now I have that as a 3D letter that is, attached to the steel, and then the established in Colorado is painted on. And then the light would be just rusted on top of that beam, shining up to illuminate all of that. And then I figured we'd have some sort of landscape lighting to light up the whole arch and the pillars, etc.
Okay. There's another bridge that I just want to mention that may help with some design or detail. And it's not the Devil's Gate High Bridge. It's a very low bridge. It's very low over the creek. And I recollect it has lots of rivets.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
Do you know which
We
one
put a
I'm
lot
talking
of
about?
rivets in here.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you can get a picture of that or show the designer that too for some inspiration, but the rivets are really cool.
Cool. Yeah, and that's what he did. He took this. He went with the rivet idea.
Yeah, good.
Mainly because of the late 1800s and the type of construction of steel at that time.
Yeah.
And I proved that. I go, yeah, let's go forward with that, because that definitely feels appropriate to me. But if we could find a true element that we're utilizing here in this town that showcases that would be great.
Yeah, I don't know if that bridge has a name. Do you know which bridge I'm talking about? Say again.
Turntable bridge?
Turntable Bridge, perhaps?
Okay.
Turntable here?
Oh, I see the rivets. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's nice.
you can't see them. When they're zoomed out. He has them shown better in other graphics, which I hopefully by the next time we meet, I'll have a better packet with more details of this.
Question about the lighting. Is this going to be in compliance with the dark sky ordinance?
It's gonna be neon.
We also have to consider if we are gonna do that.
I would think, I don't know what the technical details are for the dark sky. I figure it'll be very easy to control the uplighting, just like how the old sign is. It's got like shrouds around the,
Right.
fall apart and expose the light. But I figured with just an LED strip, an outdoor, you could semi-shroud it where, it's not going to escape the beam itself. You could direct all the light, focus right on the lettering and that beam up.
Perhaps because of dark sky, maybe just doing the light wash down instead of up. And even on the stone bases, if you do a light wash down, that might be good because of snow accumulation. Like if you're lighting up, those lights might be covered by snow at times. So maybe lighting it from the top of the base down might be a better solution for two issues.
Hey, Mike.
Yep.
Courtney was a pretty brilliant light guy.
Who's that?
Maybe he'll give us some advice.
Who is that?
Courtney Jonathan.
Do I know
He
him?
lives in town, you know him. Courtney and
Molly.
Molly.
He goes by the nickname Wild.
He
Jesus.
does all my he does most of the streaming for us at school for free. He's a great guy and he loves to give advice.
Cute
Okay.
dog.
I can get you in contact with him.
Awesome.
I mean, I love the idea even that it would be Orange County before we know it, of having interior illuminated lights that don't look like neon or like even like Kmart lights, but because it's so pretty, like the way it looks right now.
And then we wanna see a picture of it with the wreaths, the holiday decor. Where will we hang that and exactly at what,
Put that in ChatGPT.
Well, one of the biggest things I wanted to do is
That too.
Say again, Mike.
one of the biggest things I wanted to do is a very simple, easy way to
Best program right now.
mount a plate at the bottom, like a little like kind of blade sign plate that we could swap out
Oh,
with
yeah.
for the events and stuff like that. Something that just
Yeah.
like, bolts up there, or hooks up there very easily, so we don't have to shut the road down every time. You know, we're yeah, and that way we can have that messaging for whether it's events coming up, Christmas market, etc. So
Great. Well, thanks for your creative thinking. It's looking good.
awesome, appreciate it.
So,
When this comes to
Yeah.
fruition. We should, even though the sign itself is not historic, it would be an appropriate place for some kind of description or, you know, to describe the town or why it has the appearance that it does, how it, you know, replicates the rivets and, you know, give the little,
an interpret or reader.
yeah, a little bit of interpretation on it. I'm sure people will pull over to take pictures, so why not give
Oh,
them
yeah.
something to
Oh, yeah.
further
They
educate
pull over.
themselves?
Well, we have that pullover right next to it already, which is great.
No, they like to stop right underneath it, and that,
I think right before it.
so it looks really nice.
Yeah, good work.
Thanks,
Just gonna throw this out. I know it's a tight time frame, but with the approach of the sesquicentennial 150th anniversary of the state of Colorado next year, I know it's all relying on fundraising, but this would be such a great civic project, such a great future relic for Georgetown. Even if we don't get it built, it'd be nice to at least get it funded, at least in part. I don't know what this would do with cost, but can it be built incrementally? Could we at least do some sort of groundbreaking for the bases next year or something?
You know, right now it's shown conceptually that those I-beams are mounted to those pedestals. My original vision was having them grow out of the pedestals, but I think it's such a minor detail, it doesn't matter. And those pedestals are going to sit above 6 feet. So you're not going to see the mounting. So yeah, I think that's a very, very plausible goal to do is, you know, just like how those pedestals are already built there right now, that told was not done properly, but hopefully this will be done properly. And you have the mounting plates ready for the arch. That arch can be manufactured anywhere in the country and shipped over to us if needed. But I would like to obviously try to have it as localized as possible built.
Sure. The other thing, and I'm just gonna say this just to have it on the record, is there is fiber optic in that area. And so just to always be aware, I know it's on the east side. That's where we ran into problems with the two bases because it did get severed. Even though they knew it was there, it still got severed. So just always have that in the back of your mind, okay?
811, baby.
Okay, great, fantastic update, thank you. Does anybody else recollect what we have on goals and objectives?
Goals and objectives. The second class, please.
Has anybody found it? Whoever finds it.
Oh, here, it's right on the back side. So we,
Still in the front.
second to the last page, go to the back of the packet.
Things on downtown,
Yeah.
promote and schedule events, and then local business.
Okay. Oh, goals and objectives.
We're just doing it, I know this weird.
Well, we have more work to do.
Oh, God, we can't go home
We're still waiting for the ADA ramps to be maintained. The curb cuts and the ADA ramps are one and the same, folks, so just so you know that. Any updates, feedback, observations about the 6th Street one-way, which is in place?
I have asked staff to provide a feedback, I haven't heard from Dennis or Keisha.
Okay.
For my,
I have
Pretty
that,
much
what
ready.
we talked about it yesterday during staff meeting. And got a little bit of an update from, Brian and Scooter. And the things that they wanted to address with you guys was, Turning the two-way stops on Seventh Street into four-way stops. Because with more traffic being diverted on Seventh Street, there's been some backups.
yes.
And people
All in
also
favor?
coming down Taos
This is
and
not.
Rose, like not being sure if they should stop and just traffic getting really messy there, and they think the solution could potentially be turning the
Yeah.
four ways. And then they adjust the barricades at the bottom of Loop Drive and said those are a safety hazard for access for fire and police to get where they need to go effectively.
So have they posted any signage at the bottom of Loop Drive that says no left turn yet?
Yes. There is,
They have. Okay,
but it's been, I was out here last weekend, all laid up, but sat on the porch on the beautiful day, Saturday and Sunday, and watched everyone's interactions with that. 1 out of 3 people would still make that turn. And whether they saw the sign or not, but there's definitely, it could be probably the barrier that I was kind of contesting before, I think would be appropriate to direct people to keep going straight.
do we have it flagged? I haven't looked at that corner.
There's nothing but a no left-hand turn sign from what I could see.
Okay, so it's not flagged yet, so because it's a new sign and the flags,
Yeah.
those orange flags typically draw some attention. Plus, whether it's a new sign or an old sign, to most of the people that come down, it would draw attention to it, so that.
Exactly.
What about the rest of the
Want those down.
do not enter signs going?
Cause there's no.
Do we have any posted that
On
do
roads,
not
you can
enter?
turn up, right?
At the start.
Because it doesn't start until.
Well, so like right now, so if you, yeah, if you were to make a, you made a left
I
turn
had the spirit that was on you.
at Taos.
Yeah.
Do you run into a do not enter sign?
And not 100% sure on all of the specific signage looks like throughout the entire street.
So they indicated that maybe they're still doing more signs, I guess that's.
I'm told that we're waiting on
Okay.
more signs and flags, correct?
So that was what came out on Friday, but I didn't know if they updated.
I
on
think the
Tuesday.
signs that they're waiting on are just currently we have the weighted signs at the end of the street.
Mhm.
And those are the only 2 that didn't come in the original order.
Okay,
And that's as far as I know, the only signs that we're still working on, but, the other thing that they wanna add a stop sign to is they wanna put a stop sign back on Brown Island 7th.
We've asked for that, so.
Yeah.
Totally.
That is a blind corner.
Yeah. Yeah, plus
That's
that mirror
scary.
is damaged.
That is the cheapest mirror that we
Yeah,
were able to find.
The mirror is moving and it's facing more towards the ground,
It's down
not-
now.
It's useless.
facing Down.
It's
It's scary,
not good.
Unless you permanently weld it, that wind is always gonna move that mirror around.
Yeah,
so not that we're traffic engineers, but do we support 7th Street having 4-way stop
Yes.
signs at
Freeway, yeah.
Taos and
yes,
Rose?
it's sort of a blind stop.
I would
Yeah.
we recommend that there are 4-way stops at Rose and Taos Street on the 7th.
Gary, what is that?
Yeah,
Right.
we're also having problems with Google, because some of the people that.
Oh, yes, thank you for bringing that up. Is there a way to inform Google staff? Is there a way to inform Google of the change? Because GPS is showing that it's still.
I think Jess can start to make those contacts and then
Yeah.
she can give that information to
Are we
whomever.
in discussion or are we about the one thing or
We're-
because there was a motion and a second,
Gary seconded it.
Okay, this is discussion.
but this is
We
different.
might amend.
Amend.
This is different than what we were doing.
Okay,
I think Mr. Bolt would like to call a vote on the
Okay.
4-way.
Maybe call the vote chair in
no.
chairs.
Okay.
I move-
All in favor of the 4-way stops?
Recommend.
Any opposed? Okay,
Hey,
now let's talk about GPS. Yes, GPS, I noticed that, and so glad you brought it up. How do you go about updating that?
I can look into that. From
Okay.
my understanding, a lot of it is when they pick up on the traffic pattern from your cell phone.
I gotcha.
Is when they get there.
Okay.
So Specifically, like this past few weeks, we had the lead pipe project going on, so Google started and so did Apple reflecting that that street was closed.
Oh, okay.
We didn't submit that, but it figured it out,
But the fact that we still
but
have,
one way is a big safety issue.
yeah, the fact that we still have a third of the people violating the
correct.
signs.
I mean,
Google
yeah,
a
leaves
low
a little
number.
nudge,
Uh,
we
yeah.
always see those ugly ones for a while, go wrong way.
And maybe, Apple Maps too. So-
Yes, all of the maps.
Hold On that note, is there any way we can inform Google and everybody else that we are not at Echo Springs?
How do we do that?
I don't know.
Does it tell you we're at Echo Springs?
Oh, yeah, to the point that if you try to do something and you're like getting, so you're trying to get a new car, new credit card or something.
Yeah.
You have to say you're at Echo Springs, otherwise they'll reject you. Oh, it happens every,
I will look into
I
that.
don't think we're at Echo Springs. Put in mind, Josh, you'll see.
I don't know, it takes me home all the time, not literally.
It takes you home, but the thing is, I've never brought it up in a meeting, I should have, but if you look up Google and you look up an address or anything else. It's just a point of contention, it says Georgetown is Idaho Springs. And it might be doing it for Empire and everybody else, but
So what's your address?
901 Rose Street, do
Oh,
that.
your personal address, okay. Now that we broadcast that.
I haven't looked up the visitor center in a while, but it's my own address that I was looking at going, why is this doing this?
Hey, everyone,
And other people, I've talked to other people about it.
Mike,
real quick. I just
Oh,
Googled it. There is a way through Google Maps app to submit a road change.
I'm on it.
Yeah,
So, but I think if more people that do it, the more serious they'll take it and review
You're
it.
not wrong.
well, I live in Georgetown, I'm sorry that you in that historic district don't, but apparently Google knows that I'm in Georgetown. So. The lake people.
the people by the lake, it's a horror movie.
You know, I'm the one that said that, and it was not meant derogatorily in the least.
I love
It's so much
favorite things.
it's derogatory.
What's the address of the visitor center?
1491 of Argentine Street, I think it does say Georgetown,
Yep.
isn't that weird?
What's it say?
But ours does say,
Is this part of,
What's your street address at your store?
and I'm not the only one, someone else was talking about the street.
That says Georgetown.
So business is definitely down by the lake, Kevin, but why? It's not just me though, I know that, it's just weird.
In Google Maps, you're also able to report a problem, so
Oh,
we're able to
report it, yeah.
update the
Really?
traffic
I think it's
direction.
just you, because 804 Rose Street comes up in
And then
Georgetown.
I reported every now and then as being Georgetown, like. Whatever, okay.
okay,
It's
So
just you.
it's not a, yeah, but somebody else told me about it too. They're like, "We can fix this."
okay,
Never mind then.
No.
the construct sidewalk between Sixth and Seventh, I know they're looking for funding, so we'll skip that.
Do you know who's working on that project, or should I put you as the
I
champion?
would assume it's Keisha.
According to the minutes, look at the minutes, the last page of the minutes, it said. Jess was gonna follow up something with CDOT.
Uh-oh,
Jess is our girl, okay, or is me Jess?
you're Jess.
I'm Jess, I was like, Jess wasn't here last time.
Which,
Oh, Jessica,
yeah, just.
I'm Jess.
Commissioner Abrahamson requested that Ms. Jones draft a memo that explains the CDOT grant that is designed to support Main Street developments.
Oh, that's the destination blueprint, that's something different, and I've already put in our.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that's good. The update on that though is we did submit our letter of intent and I have a meeting with them tomorrow
Right.
to go over the list of our projects. I do need Mike and Craig to help me on the list of projects to submit, but you guys are more than welcome to help me along with that as well. I will connect with Kevin and Keisha on that, or Keith.
Talk to owners of downtown parking lots. I've talked to Dennis, so I can say that something has happened. I'm not sure where the rest of the owners are,
Yeah, I know he's got
with
that on.
their private property. It's
With
private
all of
property,
his
so
other
that's an
places.
issue. Okay. Establish outdoor dining and pedestrian way, is that Coda?
Most likely.
Okay, all right, that's Keisha. Promote and schedule annual events, so any updates here? I'm wondering about Dragon Boat.
We're still working on measuring the temperature, but they are wanting just to do a soft run of it this
Okay.
year. They'll still be out August 23rd on the lake promoting the event and seeing if it's possible and how to run it. Essentially, it costs $20,000 for them to get their dragon boat guy here to plan it all, and they just wanna make sure that it's worth the push because of the temperature being so close.
Yeah,
Our data is showing it's barely just reaching over 100, the temperature of the water and the temperature of outside.
And it needs to be over 100?
It needs to be over 100, so the risk of hypothermia is more than, I think it was 10 minutes.
over 100 degrees.
Paul, the water temperature plus the air temperature has to be
Over
over.
100, thank you.
Isn't that interesting?
The sum of the
Yes.
two.
The sum of the.
So I knew
Per
it
their
would have to be something like that,
organization's
because,
goal.
I'm sorry, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I knew it
Yeah,
had to be
you
something
can.
like that, but.
Yeah.
Because our water would never be more than.
No, that 50.
Yeah, so at least we get the air temperature, so everyone hope for climate change, global warming this summer, so that our temperature.
I don't want air conditioning.
Looking at leaf peeping, we have a communication PIO meeting tomorrow. Essentially, we're waiting on the two counties to decide if they have money and want to do a paid permanent system, which they most likely won't. A non-paid permanent system is still $1 per vehicle that we haven't budgeted for, so we're most likely gonna scrap any thought of it and just go with the communications plan for come on a weekday, go somewhere else. Don't destroy our lands. We have a communication plan. I can share that with you guys. I just got it this morning, and of course, we'll be going over it tomorrow. Next Thursday will be the full, both counties, all PIOs, finalizing what we're doing, and then we just have to execute. We're looking to have as much time as possible to tell the public.
I missed half what I said, I'm sorry.
No, you're not fine. Do you want me to
Could you imagine how much?
Yeah, because I was on this, I was still on that.
No, you're good.
That would be.
Yeah.
a phenomenal amount and.
With our leaf peeping problem.
Oh, that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we are working with the counties, but also trying to strategize our own plan since Georgetown is unique in our situation. You find that we get more people who go up and come back down than what they do going over on either side. And so knowing that we get 40,000 over the summer instead of their 10,000 on the other side, how can Georgetown be the most prepared? Whether that's giving information to businesses, having more signage, because we love signage around here. Maybe even implementing a leaf peeping economic development thing where restaurants and businesses can help us collaborate on what they wanna see for leaf peeping, because we all have a big stake in this game and it does tend to trickle us.
How do we convince, well, there's only one now downtown, or two. Restaurants to be food truck positive during major periods like that, because. It still happens when they're overwhelmed, and I know it happened, I heard a lot of complaints last summer, it's, I know the same drum I've been beating forever, but. But when those restaurants get overwhelmed, and then the one here has like 5 seats, or even exaggerating, but. Very few seats now, and if we get into a period, you see people lined out the door all summer. And then they're frustrated and walk away, I watch them because I'm watching Mountain Jams. And it happened even with Steve in his bigger site. And if we had that level that we're working on, I know the ordinance and stuff. But if we can work on getting the word out and figuring out a way to work with people who. It's like the whole don't compete, don't have the same, I don't know, we all have the same silver leaves in our stores, and. Don't get mad about that, because we're all trying to share the wealth and you have something unique to you. And you can give better service if you're not as busy. How do we spread that word? I know Amanda can be part of it, she is a restaurateur, and I knew that she understands that level of being overwrought. But I think that before we get new ones in there, it would be nice if we could add that to the package of how. Some way that we can spit, I hate to say spin because I believe in this.
No, yeah.
But you're
But
not,
help
you're
you
not.
understand that it's to help
It's
to,
that.
yeah, how do we present, because we're aiding you and we're not
Yes.
taking away from you.
I think it's a mixture, and I just made a note to put something together, but it's explaining the amount of people that we have coming in and that the seats that we have for all of the restaurants aren't able to have it.
Yeah.
Mixed with the feedback from the businesses who want to see stuff happen here. We can't listen to one when we have the voices of the many.
Right.
And then I'm hoping, and it's asterisk here, what if we could try to get CODA going so those restaurants can benefit with the free roaming alcohol like we've tried to
That would be
plan?
great too, because I know that
Yeah.
Mountain Jam's gotten under someone's craw last year, but I'm even thinking of figuring out a way to serve booze in the park, just so that we could have.
Yeah.
So sodas and some beer, people want beer, while they're watching music, you get more people down there. And if Coda's going and people are willing to do it, it makes us, they're more likely to buy it. We talked about this before. Mike's really brilliant restaurateur, he might be able to also help us with that. Because I'm sure you've had to tell you teach your servers, Mike, and because I don't think that you're Mr. Volume guy. Your servers, look, like when I was a server, I hated Saturdays. Because Fridays and Saturdays are amateur day. I made most of my money on Thursdays and Wednesdays. When I could turn fewer tables and sell higher. And make more money, and it was fun then, because you're playing, instead of like keeping up with it and just making sure things turn. Nothing wrong with going out on Friday and Saturday night, my point is that they're different animals. And when I was in business, we hated having that, we wanted a bit of a wait, because we liked reservations, but we hate having those giant waits when people are mad.
Yeah.
Because by the time they sit down, you've almost already lost them.
Yeah.
Right?
You're in recovery mode when you sit them down.
Yeah.
Tell them
I
into
don't
the
think we're
experience.
gonna convince, oh, sorry.
It's hard to convince some restaurants to do it, but, and I wonder, I'll talk to Sasha privately. Because right now she's just trying to fill seats, but once you fill those seats and you've got 3 waiters on the floor,
So for leaf peeping season specifically.
leaf peeping specifically.
We have data that shows the volume of traffic that we had come through.
Good.
And I think anyone, a 5-year-old can figure out that volume is not going to be seated in any location here.
Yeah.
I think the proof is going to be, or the convincing is going to happen after it's implemented successfully and they see that it isn't taking away any business. I don't think we can, it's like a conversation about politics. I don't think right now we're gonna convince any of them.
So just do it.
Persuade them, just inform them as much as we can,
I mean-
keep them up to date. And then, if we have food trucks available and other opportunities for, they'll see, oh, it didn't hurt me at all. Or they were able to say, well, it's an hour wait, or there's food trucks down the street.
And I think, I agree with you, I just, I'm trying to go from that one side of it, but I'm happy to stick my neck on the chopping block and say, look at this, we did this thing, this is what happened, I know you weren't really thinking it's great. And because and I think that we're done, I think the level of being screamed at is gone, so I think we can do it. So I'm in, I think we should, I agree that we should do it, because the other thing is, it'll help us get food trucks, because we have the data, or data, whichever you prefer, to get them here during the period.
And if we're starting to work on it
It'll feel like a festival.
this summer, it's like 6th Street. Oh my God, and okay, it's going.
Yes, made that.
So if we start to bring in the food trucks now, it's easing them into it, and then hopefully on leaf peeping weekends, when there's double the amount, it's okay.
Because if we can make 6th Street, and it does not detract from By the Lake and all that wonderful businesses down there, but if we can make 6th Street feel like a party. Without it, not raucous, but welcome to our home, enjoy this experience, make it feel European in a sense, some people say, all summer, that's
our goal.
the goal, right? So, okay, I'm sorry, I'm talking in circles.
One thing that just popped in my head, I've met with our police judge since she started, she's phenomenal, and we touched based on Coda, leaf peeping, and food trucks, and she wants to be a champion.
Yeah.
For all of these, she does have a connection with that one restaurant in particular, so I think between a couple of these angles, we can definitely build this into our mission of positivity and how this benefits the whole picture.
Well, I don't think he's a detractor, and I know that he's experienced that level of it, I just wanna make sure that when we're going out there and if new businesses come in and stuff, that we're making that outreach and, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because honestly, if you've got music going, you've got the food trucks and we have other things happening here, even during the midsummer. You and I would literally be the kind of people that would go, you know what, let's hang out here longer, I'm gonna go to dinner over there, but I'm gonna get food, I'm gonna get a churro now.
yeah.
And then, let's stay sometime.
Christmas market / Hobson Holy, would you like to, if you need some statements as we go?
So. And Mike, you can confirm this, the kiosks were purchased from Old Town Arvada.
Are they here?
They're
Yep.
here, there are only 8 instead of 10.
Oh.
So that will. That may affect, that may affect a lot of things. Figure it out. Not in a bad way. It's my understanding that Hops and Holly is looking at start doing it the second weekend of Christmas market in conjunction with Christmas market, and so we're working out those details. And we are more than 50%, probably 60% booked with vendors already for Christmas market.
Back to the booths briefly.
Yeah,
Since we have 8 instead of 10, so we didn't spend all the money that was budgeted or.
that's
Okay,
one assumption that you might want to make.
okay. And so I asked that, as a setup for my next question, which is, if there is. Money that's unspent, could 2 more booths be constructed? Since we have the booths, patterns and measurements could be made from those, can we construct 2 more and spend the rest of that money and have the amount we want?
I think that would, I don't know what the materials would end up being and the labor to find that to be done. HGI is probably not going to undertake that this year. I think we're gonna work with 8. But real quick, back to Paul's comment about keeping the outdoor European look to the town, that perhaps we could consider the use of those kiosks in some way for the mobile food trucks or dispensing, especially on a prime weekend like the leaf peeping, type situation.
I think it's great.
Yeah,
I also think it's a really great idea for
Yeah.
people who don't have a food truck, let's say any fan for she wants to, yeah.
So that might, and you could arrange that. So anyway, I'm just.
and well, with those, Kelly is very specific about no cooking within covered items, just to put that out there.
Yeah, it's just,
And that would give us, cause we already have 11 and Strauss, we can extend to the street like the business has been wanting and offer 19 spots.
I have a question.
Not this hard.
I know we have the no cooking, right? But what about induction?
He's willing to work with it, so Amy used a electric griddle for our pancake breakfast and got permission to be under. If it's already made food, that's also in the clear, so he's willing to work with us, so the answer is not no, it's just be mindful.
The only problem with induction is your pot is hot after you use it, but it's not like.
You can use like an Instant Pot and
Yeah.
items.
The concern in the past has always been the flame.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the concern continues to be the distance of any generators, any fuel that are supporting all of those heating elements, and the proximity to whatever building or structure or area that it's being dispensed from.
Okay.
So we need to have conversations about how that's gonna work.
Because it is required.
Whether it's market in December or,
Anything, yeah.
any use.
It's a thought.
But anyway, so that's Christmas market and Hops and Holly.
Okay, cool.
And for the booth, really quick before I move on, we haven't even put them together or seen them or had them in action, but would we be interested in offering them to other organizations? For example, Rapid Grass is always looking for booths and vendors, but it gets really hot over there. Sadie heard that we got these and asked a few questions about them. They are not entirely mine. There would be a whole agreement and a deposit for if things break, but maybe a revenue opportunity if you rent them out.
That's
But-
HGI, right?
That's HGI, and I just wanted to put that out there, and I will back out of it.
I personally, this is my own personal opinion with this,
Totally fine.
I think this year.
Yep.
Since they're ours, we'd like to keep them within
Cool.
and see how they roll and see how they go together and use them. I would hate to think that Mount Orange or HDI has made any kind of financial investment for a specific purpose, i.e. Christmas market, let's be real here, and they're not available for this year's Christmas market. So once we get a handle on it, I think everyone is just assuming that the support is going to be there for constructing them and everything else. Let's see how that rolls out. Let's use this as our.
Also, you know,
We should definitely do a trial setup of one or two of
Yeah,
them
we're
this
planning
summer.
on that.
Cause
Okay.
there's two different types, and I
Yeah.
think if we get the information on how long or how many people, we can start doing volunteer pushes earlier, if that's what HDO wants, cause I don't wanna damage your stuff with amateurs.
Also, I will say that if you do, it's fun to think that you would leave stuff out, but even like tables and chairs, if you're leaving it, or, cause we have a policy not to do that, except for like sister organization, we can throw it. But we've done it and you end up missing something.
Yeah.
Because, or someone breaks it because they're not taking the same care and you have to transport it elsewhere. It's never happened with HDI, but it's a sister, but you know what I mean, we don't do it because we did it and you get it lost, and with something like construction. Someone's gonna strip your screws or put it on the wrong way and then your whole thing goes bad.
I think if it's a town event and, the town is, in partnership with it, that's one thing. If, HDI is setting them up, that's one thing, but then all of a sudden when they go somewhere too far out, then who knows?
And then you're gonna have replacement
Yeah.
and somebody gets something wrecked with the truck and then they're gone and then we're.
Yeah, or we're down to 6 or 5. So,
Okay,
Who's gonna, I have one question. Who's gonna construct the kiosk?
We don't know yet, that's what we're saying.
TBD, there's a lot of TBD.
I think it's.
Well, new,
There's a
we're
lot of
figuring it
energy
out.
on it right now while the weather is nice. Let's
Is
see
there-
how it goes up.
Says Harry, I don't know how to pronounce this, I think it's Hain.
Oh,
Have drill, will.
Yeah.
We'll be there with the drill.
Yeah.
bring a tall ladder.
Matthew will help, I'm sure.
he doesn't need a ladder, he's small. Okay, Colorado Pond Hockey Tournament, anything this early?
No, I just think that we could do a better job marketing it for people to come and view, and then how to connect them to our downtown, our restaurants, our retail. That's mostly our strategy.
And then improved business involvement, BPC, that's a tough one. Cause either you wanna be involved or you don't wanna be involved.
Well, we do have somebody on our board who is a downtown business owner, who can be our champion for all those fun conversations he gets to have over the weekends.
Okay, anything that I missed, anything that you
So,
wanna add?
So as far as the businesses.
Yeah.
So on the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend, you were trying to implement some of the ideas that came out of our own, yeah, and so. Did that get off the ground? I mean, I know it's not all of a sudden boom, but I mean, do you feel like you were able to gather some material and to start to do those promotions or talk to the business owners about it, or I mean, where
A
did that?
lot of them were pivoting, so the idea that we were starting to work with and that, it was the pairing, whether it was food or drinks within the retails to kind of match, everyone to be plugged and played in different areas. Some of the restaurants just don't have the personnel, they don't have the time to do the extra prep work. Some of the businesses didn't want the liquor or food, they just don't have the space for it, so. Hearing that, we tried to get off the ground, but we weren't able to have anything. When I was walking around and talking to those who I could, some of the restaurants were busy, but some of the retail, their feedback was an event to happen on that day, which I think is possible, but it has to be fun and big and no other vendors, because we're a small business in our community.
But
So
as far as showcasing the businesses more, did you get anywhere with that?
we were doing pictures and we were posting them on our stories, and
Okay.
I think right now they're a little overwhelmed, so we were talking about doing a prep. Like leading up into May, getting video content, doing those personal stories and featuring one a week up until, or maybe even twice a week. I was talking with Mountain Mamas, and we were saying, well, maybe twice a week we could do one retail, one restaurant, and then get everybody here instead of planning a huge week. And honestly, I was like, well, we could do that anyway.
Well, so I mean, so is that in place now? Is that in?
Yeah, it's in my notes, we're working towards that as a goal, and again, it's not a bad goal to do all year round, but how do we showcase something a bit heavier leading into to get people to come up and want to visit the destination, because it's tough to get people to stop or learn about something they're just driving past.
Okay.
On a side note with that, I right now have a 32-inch monitor, a computer that I can attach to it. With Wi-Fi connection. That I can put in the visitor center where the telephone used to be, which is right before you go into the restrooms. It already has an arm to go, it just hasn't been put up. The reason I haven't done it yet, because I obviously wanna advertise my own stuff that I represent. And our sister organization stuff that they wanna do, but I would love to be able to do the town stuff as well, just to keep a constant loop
Yeah.
of interesting video and images and stuff like that. I have a 56-inch monitor that I do not use, it's at the school, but it might be spoken for. And if this works, I would be willing to put that monitor on that wall. Or on stands some other way, but I think that we should make use of that, and I forgot to ask you for your help with it. And this might help with that project.
Fair. And you and I have been needing to connect to go over a couple of things, so I'll make sure
I
I
have
have
some
to
things
do our
happening in the
agenda.
last couple of weeks since the last meeting. And there was something else we talked about in the last meeting that I was interested in, and I can't remember what it was,
If we get that loop going though,
right?
that could be something that's shared with, you know, some of the other establishments that have something like that set up where, you know. In addition to the other things that they're showing constantly,
Well,
with a captive audience, you know, whether it's,
BPC developed a
Like put it
video,
on old iPads in front of the urinal.
there you go.
we have that
Like
four
stupid
seasons of Georgetown video, does everybody remember the 4 seasons?
Yeah, there's sound right now, that one.
I didn't say that.
Four
No,
seasons.
it's monitor, it's just, I never figured on it.
I don't,
Oh,
I don't
that's
remember,
okay.
probably if I saw it,
Okay.
I would.
It's,
So that one's too.
we own it, and it could go up instantly.
Well, let's.
4 seasons of Georgetown. Have you
Does
seen that
anyone
video?
know where that is, love?
It's on YouTube, I think.
Oh, it's on, okay,
Yeah,
and
but
I
we
will
don't-
make sure I can dig into
we
So
that.
let's, then we should
But we
be
could start
reviewed to
that.
see
What
if
needs
it's
to be updated.
at least 90% current. I would hate to be advertising businesses that aren't here.
Well, this is just about, the aesthetics of the area.
Okay.
When we can plug that in with current videos of
Yeah.
downtown.
Yeah, and then, you know, like, here's the mountain Jen's saying, here's, you know, we have space over at the school, or there's you know, this is happening here, or that, and then. I'm willing to make it that way as long as it doesn't become too. I would do it until it doesn't work.
Right, no, I mean, that, you know, that could be the loop on Monday, Tuesdays it could be something else, Wednesdays,
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
I
I
mean,
mean, everyone's open on a different day too.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Alright, I'll work with
Yeah,
that.
here it is.
what was the thing, where are the minutes? I asked about something else. Oh. I think I asked last month, and maybe because I was all excited about something, I don't know if it was last month, how we reached out to the coffee shop or to any of the businesses, I guess there are 4 now. In Silver Plume to see if they would, I know that, I don't think that they can legally be on this board, but to see if they would, I think we kind of agreed that it might be, well, maybe I talked to them privately about this.
That must have been private, but
I think we waived the rules. I'm not sure what the rule is, but we're talking about stopping silence, right? And we're the Georgetown Silver Plume National Historic Landmark District, while we are the promotion commission for Georgetown. I think it would behoove us to work with Silver Plume on how we can jointly promote both towns. So that we are behaving like the National Historic Landmark District. A little more in that, take, you know, get Bread Bar's customers down here and get our customers to the Bread Bar, and when our coffee shop isn't open, send them up to Plume's Coffee. And I thought it would be nice to invite one of their, and this is something for all of us, I think it would be nice. To see if we can get one of them to at least attend one of our meetings and we can chat. What are your thoughts?
They're beautiful.
Why don't we invite them and put them on an agenda
Yeah,
and at least see if they're interested?
do you think it's a good idea or do you think it's counterproductive, Mike?
Yeah, I think it's
Uh,
a great idea,
Okay,
yeah, invite them.
Yeah, I think it's a
So-
good idea. Plume is like our heights, so.
yeah,
Well, and I speak to them quite frequently, like Jessica Louise for Bread Bar events, she's on our Parks and Rec team, she provides things.
Yeah.
That would be.
She has great connection, she probably knows them, but we can definitely reach out heavier. But I mean, I visit Plume, I make sure they have our stuff, we do our cross promotions. in the best way that we can, but I also don't love overstepping, but you're finding the way to bridge it and make it stronger, especially with,
Well, I think you're doing a great job, but I think that if.
no, this is better.
If we communicate as a group together, they might be able to figure out a way that we can, like.
But it's also something different if someone walks into your place and says, here, this is what's going on. And they're like, oh, okay, fine, cool. But I would rather see the, you know, the reverse too, and their engagement with us and, you know, and have that develop.
I mean, it's a better way than, you know, like with some things in
Yeah.
your life, and people are like, well, why don't you guys work together? And it's like, well, I work for them all the time, but they never work for me, but. One way to make sure that doesn't happen is that outreach and going, hey, be part of the conversation, then, right?
So we would like to invite them
Yeah.
into, you know,
I'm not saying that they do that, I just think that sometimes
Yeah.
we do things together, but I just need to really closely.
Should we just do businesses because we're BPC, or should I reach out to their board?
I would businesses because we're being safe.
we can start with the businesses and then move.
I'll do bread bar, coffee bar, and food provisions,
Cause you know, the trust is helping with, you know,
or my own.
the mountain purchase thing that the town is doing, and we're already doing stuff with them and stuff together to help with things, but. I think this other outreach would be great.
I know that.
Uh,
I think that's pretty much it for our goals and objectives. In case anyone else has any more fun things.
Just back to that though for a second with Silver Plume.
Yes,
Let's make sure, I'm gonna use Amanda and her optics. That, though I think it's a great idea, maybe right now to put that on our plate, Jess's plate, when we should be focusing on Georgetown right now because of our season. That might be something that, you know, to invite them in and say, oh, let's think about this and get some ideas and get their process going, that's fine. But I would hate for Georgetown Business Promotion to be taking away time from ourselves.
Yeah. Exactly why I
And
asked.
be a back burner project for, you know, mud season when it could percolate a little bit more.
Sure, that's why I asked.
Yeah, no,
I think you're right, and that was one of my concerns is even though we're the Georgetown, working with them is collaborative. And that's what I'm looking for, but also I don't want people to think, or us, get, you know, tired of what John Avery used to say, tangled in our underwear.
okay,
that's true.
where are we?
You're putting him on the right.
Oh, I can, we're done. Okay, gateway conversation. So, Mike, do you think that we have that by just talking about the overhead sign?
I mean, I think there's some other points on the gateway, you know, the lack of sidewalk over on the Burnell block between
For
7th.
sure.
I think that we should keep that discussion going. The marking, especially if we're gonna be implementing the 3-way stop there, or any new stop signs, is that we actually use thermoplastic, real standards of, you know, markers showing where cars need to stop. Any new crosswalks we put in, using standards versus just spray painting, you know, outlines of diagonal, like looks like a crosswalk.
Oh, come on, can we do chalk?
A, they don't last, and then B, it just doesn't look correct. It doesn't look standard. So cars
agreed.
don't, you know, traffic doesn't know how to interact with those type of markings. And so and yeah, that's really about it there for the gateway. I know I heard like we saw a lamppost get taken out. I don't know if that's gotten replaced, not yet, or a plan for a replacement.
We have 2 out now.
And,
Out now.
and a lot of the lenses, what I call the lenses, there are many of those missing, so that's gonna double or even triple the number that aren't in operation.
Okay.
Oh, talking about glass and lampposts. Did we not have a business owner here on 6th Street that can cut glass for?
I can't, yeah, for all the lamps on 6th Street, yeah.
Gary does everything.
So,
It's a highway.
Can you replicate my globes that were in front of the school?
No.
but so I had a conversation with a particular business owner who said that when he has the extra pieces, leftovers, what do you call it, remnants of glass, that could be a valuable use for us if we need you know,
Any of these old ones are.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
happen
I
from
like to do that.
I'm sure.
so. We should see if we can't use that as a resource.
Yeah. Is there a template that exists for the shapes?
We could-
Same sign.
we could probably
Same
Okay.
Pull one of those sheets of glass.
Yeah, sure.
Can we give you the link to that?
Okay. Okay.
Put them in the big glass cutter and cut them out.
So Bridget, if you could make sure that that's included in our minutes somehow, so that we can use this as a follow-up,
Sure.
okay?
Step, and I have to wait for that to be.
Okay, anything else, Mike?
Those links.
No, that's all I have right now.
Okay, right on. Okay. Did you?
I was wondering how are they knocking those globes on that are on the new lamp post?
The wind.
The wind.
The wind is terrible.
Straight wind.
Uh-huh.
Wind and rock.
And so they're just wires hanging down. I don't know where the lenses are. It's pretty rough.
And also the down lens like that, you, in hindsight's 2020, but the way the wind swings so much.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Sixth Street Business Resiliency.
This is the one that we keep on here just to have these conversations. I feel like we've touched base, but always bring up more.
Okay. Commission members, what's that about?
I think that was what Paul was brought up with the landmark district and including Silver Flu.
Okay,
And or.
Making sure we could all be doing
I think this was more of a review of who's getting renewed in April with the Board of Selectmen, and if we wanna look at absenteeism, was my understanding, but don't
Okay.
let me lead anybody.
So I also think we need, and this should either go to Mike or Craig. I think Justin's appointment is complete. So we should follow up on that. Because as an alternate member, I don't know if he's, and I think the conversation that Kevin had with him, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but from last fall maybe, was that he was just gonna stay on until February.
I wonder if Keith would like to be on this board.
I don't
He
know. if
doesn't
Keith
show
has
up.
time, but I would
Let's
love
get him
for-
off of here and let's find someone that will participate.
Right,
Yeah, and I think Keith is an artist who seems to be really active around the community now, and he's already on the, I think
he's on DRHP.
GRC rather. But I don't know if he wants to do two or not, but it might be neat to have a gallery in here.
Real
He's
quick,
got a gallery. Oh, I got his gallery, that's right.
well, real quick, let me just make an observation. How many, like, we don't want to be overloaded with just Old Town Sixth Street representation.
Oh, true.
We definitely want outreach to maybe scooters. Not saying Amanda has the time to, do
I don't
that,
think
but-
she can.
She might, she's not the school board, or she's not on the
Okay.
school.
Amanda said no.
She's
to
the
the
selectman.
Okay,
Well, but no, but that was the problem because we couldn't have two selectmen on at the same time, that's why she had to step down.
yeah,
That's fine.
However, the Board of Selectmen need to review our board appointments.
Okay.
Because the police judge needs to be stepping in, our new
Okay.
police judge, you know, and so there has to be that distribution, and that needs to be handled at a Board of Selectmen meeting, like.
Yeah, I
So-
think we wanted to have them all consolidated in one meeting and we were still waiting on some boards to review letters of intent. But I believe that has been done, so.
Yeah, so, but those have to be formal motions at the board meeting to make those appointments, so that should be coming up soon.
So
And,
meaning what, I'm sorry, oh, who's on this from the town, from the selectmen, that you're saying who's already?
well, so, because Jess brought up, you know, all the commission members, the terms,
Mhm.
appointments, alternates, whatever. You know, and again, whether. We don't have a list out or long line out the door of people who want to participate on BPC from the businesses. I think it'd be great to get, you know, to echo what Mike's saying about getting, you know, people from businesses more so, you know, a representation, not just from Sixth Street.
Sure.
But if Keith is interested and we have two galleries, so what?
Yeah.
If he's an active participant, you know, like Mike is saying,
And you do have two board members, you do have two commission members who do represent businesses that aren't on Sixth Street. I'm on Taos, but I'm also on Argentine Gateway.
that's
And
good.
then, who else is there? Oh, Craig,
Yeah, Craig down at the lake, so.
but it would be neat too, to talk to the people that do the Mountain Inn and the people that are trying to redo. You know, I would love to see one of the hoteliers get in here.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
well, that was what,
Yeah.
that was the role that Justin played was for, hotels, B and Bs, that sort of thing, and so maybe that should be our focus is like.
Because you know, the women who own, the Mountain Inn, there's the.
The lodge.
She's pretty good, they were trying to redo the lodge, make it
She's
really
very
great. And then.
Mike Hotel,
Like,
And Microsoft.
I can contact, Brittany.
The late,
Brittany would be great.
Brittany would be good, but the lady, what's the lady's name from the lodge that's been?
Jessica is the main one, and then there are two women, they're partners, and can't remember the other one's name, but find out.
But from the lodge, she was pretty active in some of the other events that have been going on town.
She's really interested in the town, and I.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe, you know, that would be a connection.
It's Jessica and Amber.
she,
Okay.
and she also, attended the business
Carrie,
briefing,
Yeah,
so.
Oh, that's the new lady from,
Carrie.
Carrie,
Carrie,
and she's with the lodge.
Yes,
Yeah.
Not
that's right.
Not the, yeah, I'm sorry.
not the mountain, the lodge.
The lodge, yeah, she was great too.
Yeah,
Okay, so who's gonna reach out to these?
I think that's a chair or vice chair.
Okay,
I'll hobble down to the lodge.
okay, right on. Okay, thank you, sir. Oh, yeah, Diane with Mount Mom is
Yeah.
really one, yeah, but again, that's down here instead of dispersing it a little bit,
Yeah,
so. But yeah, whoever's gonna participate is what we're looking at.
that always be all.
Events procedures, what's that all about?
So essentially, we are following up on a few transitions within the county. We have relieved the county tourism director of duty and PCMRG events director has been relieved of duty. Essentially, I put this on our radar just so you guys can be aware of the transitions, ask your questions on how events are being taken care of. Thankfully, CCMRD for the slacker already had their paperwork in, as we've touched based on. We're thankfully able to look at a lot of the planning that they've had done in the county. I'm working with Martha to get a couple things, because I've struggled with that. But we should be able to transition that pretty nicely. As far as the county tourism bureau, we don't meet until next Thursday, and we'll maybe hopefully have a better goal through these as we go forward.
Anybody have any questions, Jess, about?
One thing I did forget to bring up, and it's the last page of mine, it's the up and coming section.
Okay, go for it.
It's budget season is coming up. Any feedback on projects or you should be considered while we prep for budget now? We wanna get that done by August.
Banners.
What, let's talk about what kind of banners we want, and we can definitely factor all of those in.
Well, and those, that, advertising kiosk, Gary, you had showed me the pictures a couple weeks ago of something placed over at Strauss Park, you know, like with the,
Like what we have to have
Glass.
in the lake.
yeah, you know, whatever you call those.
Those are the information board.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm gonna send you a photo, I don't know if I ever did, there was a kiosk outside of the, Dalgleish Photo Studio. And, it's like triangular. I'll send you a picture of it.
Okay.
Maybe that would be like a good inspiration to like recreate
Oh, yeah.
what was once here. But use it for modern purposes. He put his photos in there to try to entice people to do studio photos.
Oh.
So, yeah.
but event procedures, you know, can we go back to that, or are
Oh,
we still
yeah.
on that for a second?
Go for it, please, please.
There were, in I think our minutes. I'm losing pages of it.
Enormously
I'm
long.
passing my notes. That we were looking at,
Updating ours.
well, you know, the application processes and,
Yes,
Oh, okay.
that's kind of in my notes as well for things that we're trying to tackle within town. I'm just trying to get some time with Dennis to go over my recommendations.
right, and so I hope that with some of the recent events that we had and, you know, the borough race was one. It's not really our event, but you manage it, but so all of the debriefs that you've done on these, that we're taking that into consideration as we look at it. And Bridget, you mentioned something earlier about the sound permits and
Yep.
deferring to the event organizer as to how far they want to, and maybe I misunderstood this, how far they want to include in the application.
We'll always go to the legal limit, which is 100 feet. And, but deferring to them with our recommendation of expanding that, reach, if they so want.
So I think we, the town, might need to look at our legal limit as far as the sound goes, and we really need to look at that, just because they write down that decibel level, you know, for sound per se.
I think we should invest in equipment, so that way, when we're getting feedback, Mother's was too loud, we can document what's too loud and go, and this isn't just one event, this happens with pond hockey too,
Oh,
many
okay.
things, so I don't wanna single out one event.
Right.
But
So the enforcement, yes, the town might ultimately be responsible for obtaining that equipment and purchasing that equipment. But that actual enforcement might not be coming from within this group per se, that might be more law enforcement services, whomever is providing that for us, type thing. Truly, that, so once town hall closes at 5 o'clock, town hall can't be responsible for
Yeah,
enforcing
right.
it at that minute.
I'm like 5 blocks from the, and I could barely, and sitting on the porch, I could barely hear a little bass, like every now and then. That was sort of in the wind.
Well, no, and I'm not saying it for that, but when we're looking at,
No, it makes sense.
we've been talking about reviewing these procedures, and I know sometimes some of this commission pushes back on, the 30 days or the 60 days or whatever. And how that's applied, and that's just an easy one to talk about, but
60 days per town.
But we need to be looking at all of that, and we need to be looking at it and moving on it as opposed to kicking the can down
I'm great.
the road. Because we're,
Yeah.
we're
So like
trying
now,
to-
chance because of the complaints on the, some of the complaints in the street, I bought a,
Right, some of the
Yeah,
business
handheld.
owners have complained when the music is too loud, or especially when we close down the street.
Mhm.
And, they're participating outside on the street.
So you've met me, so I went and bought a handheld decibel reader, so I could say, no, we're never going above it.
Well, you can pull, it's not gonna be,
But because I watched the way it bounces off of certain places, because the other thing is, you could be at 70 decibels at the stage, because my engineer actually, his system actually has a decibel reader. But then you come, and the way that they complained was that the sound bounced off of, say, Gary's building and then went over into another building. And so then I could take the decibel reader there and see if it was amplified by that's
and
something
we're
that
trying to
happens.
encourage more events down by
Yeah.
the lake or the lagoon.
Yeah, same as
And we're putting a lot of residential properties down there, so
Yeah.
this is
makes
gonna be
perfect
something
sense.
that we need to look at in a variety of places. And it's not just sound, it's all the different procedures that just needs a checklist to be able to turn around to any outside event organizer coming in and saying, you need 50 traffic vests and 1,000 cones and this permit
No,
and this amount of people. It's not on us to come up with the volunteers, it's on you to come up with the
I
volunteers.
know the checklist.
So,
And we do have one, but those are definitely high important things, because like for the event that we just had, they had street closures and we provided something, but. We shouldn't have to be trying to find picnic tables and all these other things to promote their event, but, oh gosh.
so just stuff like that.
Cause I would rather, we look up at other towns, find out what they do for, like, sound, for instance, right?
Yeah.
What other municipalities are our size do. I'd rather, as a person that puts on an event, know exactly what my parameters are and not worry about, that's why I bought the decibel reader, right? Cause I would rather know, I'm following the rules and you're just complaining, so I'm sorry.
Well, and music being shut off at a certain time, and when that's adhered
Yeah.
to, that's great, but there's other things,
There
that
are all
happen.
kinds of things, yeah.
So,
And there's other little issues, like with the special event application, for example, like it's town administrator, fire authority, and now the sheriff's office. I was told that we need to include the EMS on there. I was under the assumption that Aaron and Kelly worked under the same branch.
No.
That's not true.
Yeah.
So Aaron needed to be more updated for some of our events that were happening around, so. I mean, little feedback that we get all the time.
So if there's any impact, because again, there's going to be some times that the county is going to be impacted.
Yeah.
Outside of just the sheriff's office, I don't think it's the sheriff's office responsibility at this moment to say, oh, we better engage county road and bridge. But, or the county building staff, but remember they were filming a commercial, I think, a year or so ago, and it interfered with court traffic. So there are times that we need to have that greater perspective. So maybe not, the county might not always know about our events. I mean, outside of the sheriff's office right now, but, or how the impact is on the roundabout bus route. So we need to broaden our scope and take those into consideration.
Yeah,
And not just in the conversations that we always have, like, oh, shoot, we should have been notified.
no, like an
We
immediate contact.
need that, roundabout if applicable, county if
And if
applicable.
you're not on that email chain anyway, that goes out every time they event
Exactly.
thing, you just share it with them.
That was my 2 cents on event procedures.
All right, anything else about event procedures? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Wait, just one,
Okay.
just one more. Per our ordinance, we have a report that must be drafted and distributed by September. So far, I've been making a page for each month as we go, but we've all had our own projects and champions, so. Start thinking about if you have a project, I will ask you for a blurb and an update, or anything that you feel is important to share. I will email all of that out for our next meeting to touch base on, but just so budget and the report are on the top of your minds. Thank you. Now go for it, Kevin. It's out here.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion, all in favor? Any opposed? Thanks, folks, we did it pretty quick, that was the fastest one I've ever did.